Uncle Doug,
Uncle Mark.
why are you wearing that sheet?
Well, there's various reasons.
Are you going to meet Jeff Sessions, or are you trying to give me a fright?
It can be both things.
Yeah. Well, it's a good look for you.
Thank you.
The ponchos and caftans are very forgiving.
Yeah, moo-moos are very slimming.
Yeah. Well, I don't know they're slimming, but they're comfortable.
Yeah.
After you've settled and given up at a certain age, what you want is comfort.
Right.
But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
No.
Uncle Dan has apparently something a little spooky.
Ooh, you guys, it is mid-October.
Yes.
As we speak. And I thought that was the perfect time
Yeah.
for a spooky ghost story.
Ooh.
All right.
So, traditionally, ghost stories, not my favorite thing. I am not a fan of scary movies. I don't like haunted houses, mostly because I just really don't like being startled. But
You don't like horror movies?
no, I hate them. I like suspense thrillers,
Okay.
but I don't like jumpy out. Jump scares are like the cheapest, stupidest thing in the world to me.
Yeah, I agree.
And I hate being startled.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Boo.
damn it! I gotcha! Damn it! Damn it! Okay, but I will say this: I have several friends who not only like ghost stories, they fervently believe in ghosts, and they've seen and heard evidence of them. I know people who have invested hundreds of dollars in ghost hunting equipment. Go out into the
You know
world.
people?
I do.
That do this?
Yeah, they go out into the world in hopes of finding a spirit with whom to communicate.
Getting the ectoplasmic thing.
Yeah, sure. They haven't quite invested in the in the
Egon.
proton
Yeah.
What is that thing?
packs or whatever they are.
I'm afraid of no ghost.
But yeah, I mean the little things that that they have the cameras that are specially tuned so that they can see the orbs in the
right.
pictures, and they got the audio equipment that picks up on the whispers and the whatever.
And they got that, what's it called? Photoshop.
Yeah,
Right.
That's pretty useful.
Yeah.
That's probably the most useful part.
You can find a lot of ghosts via Photoshop.
But I will tell you this. Ghost hunting and attempts to communicate with the other side, it wasn't always a thing. People have always, feared all manner of demons and hoped for all manner of angels for millennia.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until fairly recently in human history that people started believing that they could communicate with spirits of people who had passed through to the other side.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take you to the ghost story that started it all.
Ooh.
Picture this. You're an upstanding woman in your community of Hydesville, New York, walking home on an evening in late March 1848, when two little neighbor girls, Maggie and Kate Fox, ages 15 and 11 or 12, respectively, approach you and ask you to come to their house. They say that they're scared, and so is their mother. You see, something's knocking on the walls and furniture of their home, and it's communicating with them.
Well, I think what the answer is just no.
Yeah. Anytime two creepy young girls ask you to go somewhere with them, you'd say no.
Because the furniture's sliding around the house?
Yeah, exactly. Have you
I'm
not
good.
seen The Shining?
Yeah.
But they hadn't seen The Shining. That's the point.
Call an exterminator.
This was
Bye.
a new phenomenon. Skeptical, you go with them back to their home, and as you walk, the girls explain that every night, right around bedtime, they start to hear the knocks. For a while, they just assumed that it was the creaks and pops that are normal to any home, but the persistence of the rapping was different. It was as if something was trying to communicate with them. When you finally arrive at their tiny house, the mother takes you to the bedroom that the whole family share and tells the girls to speak to the ghosts. First, Kate asks the ghost to repeat the snaps with her fingers. She snaps. The ghost knocks. Then they ask the ghost to tap out the ages of the girls. It does. Count 5, the mother says, and sure enough, 5 knocks echo through the room. Count 15, she commands, which seems like a really high number to make a ghost tap out.
Number-based ghost.
But whatever. This is the 1840s.
Just give him like the quadratic equation.
People were
while
bored.
he's doing that,
That's
get
right.
the fuck out. Yeah.
That's right. Tap out pi. Just as before, the spirit knocks 15 times. Demonstrations continued for other people in the town, and the fame of the Fox family grew. The girls originally called their intruder Mr. Splitfoot, which was a reference to the devil. He had cloven hooves. But they eventually determined, through knocking, that this was the ghost of a peddler by the name of Charles B. Rosna, who had been murdered on that property and buried in the cellar.
Oh.
Who knew? How did they know that?
Well, through the knocking. They would ask questions. This is a very Ouija board sort of scenario.
Did they develop like a Morse code sort of?
Yeah, it knocked 3 times for yes and 17 times for no.
Knock 29 times if you were a peddler. Right. If you were a longshoreman, knock 63 times.
For Spanish, knock twice. Oprima la número 2. In all the hubbub and the terror, the girls were eventually sent to nearby Rochester to live with their older siblings. Kate sent to live with her sister Leah. Maggie sent to live with her brother David. Upon settling into their new digs, however, it became clear that at least in their cases, the medium was the message. Get it? Medium? The mediums?
Yeah.
You guys see where I went there?
Yeah, we got it.
Did you,
Yeah, no.
I made a play on words, is
yeah,
what I'm saying.
got it.
Okay. Both girls quickly had incidents of knocking in the new houses.
So Mr. Splitfoot
Split 1 foot each, or half of a foot to each person.
That's the nicest name for the devil ever.
Right. I like
Mr. Splitfoot.
It seems like there
should be a song.
should be a children's television show.
Yeah, it's like a local daytime
Mr.
children's
Splitfoot
television
comes
show.
to visit.
Sugarfoot.
Anywho.
You never see him; he just knocks through the whole show.
God damn it. Will you just talk to us? So word got out about these remarkable little girls to whom the dead seemed determined to communicate. I mean, seriously, dead people. Little girls, they're creepy enough as they are. Just leave them the fuck alone. But no, the dead people were talking to the little girls. 2 friends of the Fox family, Amy and Isaac Post, a couple of Quakers, by the way, invited the girls into their home. Isaac
Is this like a Quaker version of The Exorcist? Because I am there for it.
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You exorcise the ghost by hours of quiet contemplation.
Yeah, something like
The
that.
Quakercist.
And a little bit of shaking. And oats. Lots and lots of oats.
Throwing oats at her. The power of Christ compels you.
The power of Christ compels you, but you don't have to.
But don't
That's
worry.
the thing. It's all about free agency.
We're all friends here.
Yes.
We're a society
We're not going to
of
force you
friends.
into anything.
Yeah. Here's what Isaac wrote about the incident. I suppose I went with as much unbelief as Thomas felt when he was introduced to Jesus after he ascended. But damned if he wasn't convinced by, quote, very distinct thumps under the floor and several apparent answers. So, if Isaac Post can be convinced, surely something real is happening here.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt Isaac posted on
why would
month
you?
of Sundays.
Not a good Quaker like him?
No, never.
Well, the Posts went to all of their Quaker friends, and pretty soon there was a core group of people that were convinced that the veil between the living and the dead was semi-permeable, and that these pre-adolescents were the key to the communication with the other world. The girls gave more and more demonstrations of their powers.
You know what this is interesting because this is the first time, I think, and maybe the last ever in any religious history that there has been some obsession with the magical powers of virginal girls.
Yeah, nobody's ever heard of that.
Yeah, that's weird. It's
Until now.
the first. Let me write that on the board.
Get that in there.
Our big board of religious firsts. That's our first entry.
It's weird, yeah. That's been blank for a long
It's been
time.
very blank.
So their older sister now joins them. Suddenly, she has the power as well.
Oh.
And they finally, the stories have grown to such have become so compelling that on November 14th, 1849, a crowd of spectators paid to witness this spectacle for themselves at Rochester's Corinthian Hall. And thus was launched the storied and often very profitable phenomenon of spiritualism.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beginning of that.
When was this?
1840s.
1840s
is when it began and continued and prospered even through until this very day.
But the late 19th century was like the heyday, right?
Well, it won't be lost on you fellows that what was it? Their hometown of Hydesville, New York, was some 8 miles away from another town called Syracuse, New York. Not Syracuse, Palmyra,
New York. Yeah.
We are talking about the burned over district.
Yep.
We are the Finger Lakes region of New York State.
Yeah.
Where Mormonism was born, where Seventh-day Adventism was born, where all of this shit just it was just a hotbed for...
It was in the soil. It was just something...
Yeah. Yeah, there was a gas leak somewhere.
I'd love to read more deeply on... Because I know that was the phenomenon, but I haven't really read a lot about the kind of social, economic, religious circumstances that lent to such a one area being so fervently bananas.
I think the quick and dirty is that there were a lot of stupid people in that area at that time. But
got news for you. A lot of stupid people in all of the areas, all of the time.
The Finger Lakes was known for a very stupid group of people.
right. But on the
Credulous dopes.
On the continuum, there is always a dumbest place on earth. That was it.
Oh, find that, and if you're willing to say lies, the world is your oyster.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the birth. They went on to do to have successful careers as mediums. They went to New York City eventually, and did seances for.
Went on the Letterman show.
They did.
Yeah.
They went on the equivalent, which was the newspapers. The one I literally what's his name? Horace Greeley.
Yeah.
Who was a big newspaper man at the time.
Yeah.
Huge proponent of these girls.
Beautiful beard.
Yes, neck beard that came out from like a nice fluffy neck beard. You always love that.
Wonderful.
Clean shaven cheeks, but a lovely fluff from like. It kind of looked like a Shakespearean ruff, only made of beard hair.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice look.
But yeah, he was a huge proponent of them and talked about them in his papers and stuff. Other papers were more skeptical, called them the weird knockers of Rochester or whatever. But but literally, like William Cullen Bryant, George Bancroft, James Fenimore Cooper, Nathaniel Parker Willis, Sojourner Truth, William Lloyd Garrison. All of these people went to their seances, were entirely, maybe entirely convinced. What's his name? Sherlock Holmes guy.
Conan Doyle.
Yeah.
Conan Doyle was a big fan, wrote about them, talked about them. They convinced people.
Yeah, well, and there again, we've talked about this with the Enlightenment and, your Isaac Newtons and Edward Halley's and stuff like that. You can be both, depending on what time and place you are, you can be both an incredibly brilliant mind and kind of a credulous idiot.
I give you one Ben Carson, for example.
Right.
Well, let me tell you something. The phenomenon that these girls exhibited was legit. They'd go into a room that they had never been in before, that they could not have prepped. They would speak to the ghosts, and this knocking would happen. Huh. This is legit.
So wait, this was never debunked. They never found old man Splitfoot downstairs, and he was just a peddler that was still alive, knocking on the floorboards.
Correct. That did not happen. What did happen was that the girls later, for a fee, recanted and explained the mechanism by which these ghosts... Oh, we're ruining it now. Oh, it was such a good spooky story.
But this is what we do on this show, is ruin all of our childhood fantasies.
Let me tell you something. Everyone that you know who believes in the Long Island medium, everyone that you know who believes in psychic communication with the other side, can trace a lineage back directly to 2 little girls who figured out a trick that made their toes make a sound.
It was their toes.
They had figured out a trick to work the toe muscles.
You mean like cracking a knuckle?
Essentially, it's not cracking a knuckle because you can do that once and then you can't do it again.
Right.
They found a way to like make the tendon pop or something, and they convinced a country full of people that they were talking to the other side.
So sorry. These questions of like, do it 15 times.
Yeah.
Do it 27 times.
I'll do it as many times as you want me to.
I got split foot right now.
You get a bad case of split foot.
How come every time you talk to that guy, you need to ice your toe? I don't know. It's weird.
Shut your face. That's how come.
Ectoplasm. Fuck
So
off.
when they recanted, obviously that was the end of that, right?
Clearly, everyone who believed them previous said, ha ha, good trick, and it was all over. Or, as we now know from every story we've ever told on this show, nope, everyone just kept the fuck on believing them. In fact, they were so adamant that they pressured one of the girls back into recanting her recantment.
To de-recant.
She canted.
She canted. She recanted, and she
decanted.
These girls died penniless paupers.
Oh.
Because the world that had embraced them, that they had created,
Right.
rejected them, but they kept on right on believing. Because let me tell you something. Thousands of copycats popped up,
Right.
and as you know, as Eli would be able to tell us, who's not only an amazing podcaster but also a mentalist,
Yeah.
and someone who has studied the dark arts, meaning trickery.
Yeah.
Right.
There's lots of good ways to fool people
Yeah.
into believing that you're talking to the dead, and those ways were just honed and refined over the years. But yeah, these girls who started it as a prank. By the way, I said it was late March. March 31st. Guess what next day was?
April Fool's Day.
Boom.
Oh.
This was an April Fool's joke taken too far.
No kidding.
Well, you know what? It's the fact that they recanted and then lost everything, and then people just went on believe. I mean, that's basically the plot of The Life of Brian, right? I mean, they're just fuck. Once you start people believing a thing, get the fuck out of the way, because you either go with it or they're going to run right over you, and it's just going to go.
The Necronomicon and all of the other things that are made up, and people just refuse to stop believing in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, people get trapped in a silly lie, and then that's their life forever now.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they do it right, you know, if they do it the way some of these people do it, you know, LRH or whatever, they get rich because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 years later, people you know are buying special cameras
Yeah,
to find the dead.
exactly.
And you know what those cameras will never find? A girlfriend.
Oh, would that were true.
Yeah, they don't-
I'll bet that's not true.
They don't work in Canada, apparently. So, well, that's an awesome story.
Here's a quote from one of the girls. I didn't actually write down which quote. This is the harm that can come from this. They so convinced their little town that someone had been murdered in their house because that was the story they came up with. Forever now, they launched that idea.
Wow.
So forever now, we're stuck with fucking movies about, you know, hauntings of people who were wronged in this life, being stuck in a house in the, you know,
Poltergeist.
yeah, all of this
Indian
shit.
burial grounds, that whole thing.
And the Conjuring universe.
This all comes from just like the imagination. By the way, is there anything creepier than little kids? They are the fucking creepiest. Ask any parent. I was talking to my friend about this, my dear friend Kate, who, you know, she's a mother of 3. And she said, and, you know, what brought this up was another mutual friend had posted on Facebook about her son coming to her and talking to her about these ghosts, or, you know, Mr. So-and-so who he had been talking to. And this woman had been encouraging this and been saying, oh my God, my son's a medium. My son's talking to the other side.
great.
And like, it was like terrifying to me because you're going to fuck up your child.
Right.
Yeah.
Because kids have fucking imaginations and they just say shit, and they say creepy shit. And my friend Kate was talking about how her son had a good friend, Mr. Something, who lived in the crack in the mirror.
Holy shit.
How fucking creepy is
my
that?
skin crawl.
My, I have a buddy who has a little sister, and this is several years ago. She's quite a bit younger than him. And one day they were getting ready a big family dinner. They were making dinner, and they just couldn't find like all the carving knives and stuff. Where the fuck are the knives? And so they're like looking around the house. They're asking the kids, they're like, why would I take the knife? Why would I take the knife? And they asked this little girl who was like 8 or something at the time where the knives are. And she's like, I don't know. And then, obviously, it's like, yeah, we can tell you know where the knives are. So finally, she takes them and shows them where the knives are, and she's hidden them in all the toilet tanks in the house. And they're like, babe, why would you do this? Why would you hide these knives? And she goes, they're for Bloody Mary.
That's it. I'm shipping her off to an orphanage.
That's right.
Changing my address.
You live with Uncle Joe now.
This is when you go, Peter Ustinov will give you 7 sacred daggers that were found under a foundation in Jerusalem, and you have to stab her.
Or in the toilet. Who knows?
That's right.
No, and-
I mean, my friend Kate also mentioned that she would wake up frequently with one of her 3 children standing at her bedside, just staring at her.
I was literally going to say, if you imagine waking up in the middle of the night and something standing in your doorway, what's creepier than a child?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, there was a prank video that went around. I don't know if you guys saw this. This was sort of after the movie The Ring had come out and whatever. There's a prank video where the whole prank was they put hidden cameras in a hotel hallway, and then they put a girl with her hair, with long black hair,
Right. Yeah.
combed down, covering a lot of her face, just standing there. And people would round the corner and go, ah! And run away. Run away from a little girl who was doing nothing.
Yeah, I think the point to take here is just be afraid of children.
Be afraid of children. So here's the quote that this is what came of this belief that these little girls had been communicating with a quote murdered spirit.
Yeah.
One of the girls said, she's referring to the neighbors in the town. They were convinced that someone had been murdered in the house. They asked the spirits through us about it, and we would rap out 1 for spirit answer yes, not 3 as we did afterward. Right. The murder was, they concluded, must have been committed in the house. They went over the whole surrounding county trying to get the names of the people who had formerly lived in the house. Finally, they found a man by the name of Bell, and they said that this poor innocent man had committed a murder in the house and that the noises had come from the spirit of the murdered person. Poor Bell was shunned and looked upon by the whole community as a murderer.
Jesus. See? Be afraid of children.
On the word of 2 dopey kids who were just using their imagination.
Well, isn't that also how the Salem witch trials began?
Yes.
Is the word of fucking crazy children, right?
Yeah. One crazy child outing a bunch of
adult people.
And people got killed because of it.
Right.
We should do that. We'll save that for next October.
Yeah. Well, that was a bunch of crazy bullshit.
Yeah. It's terrifying. Don't just believe things. I think that's the answer. And ghosts aren't real.
And look, we don't want to affect a vital part of the U.S. economy, which is the ghost camera financial sector. But
/ Edward, what James Edwards or whatever his name is. We don't want to take away all of those good mediums.
We don't want to crush Split Foot Enterprises.
But find another fucking hobby. Right. Chess is fun.
Yeah,
bird watching is totally fine.
Go get an ostrich
if you believe in birds.
Yeah.
So anyway.
There you go. Spooky times.
Let's move on.